According to a report by the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO, 31.5 million Nigerians across 26 states and the Federal Capital Territory would be in a food crisis situation or even worse. This between June and August this year. Disturbed by this projection, the federal government has now directed the enforcement of all extant laws prohibiting the exportation of grains from Nigeria, this to ensure food stability and sufficiency in the country. This was revealed by the Comptroller General Nigeria Customs Service Bashir Adeniyi Adewale while engaging dealers at the Dawanau International Grains Market in Kano. The agency also declared that the service owns the duty to eliminate any act of sabotage that will impede economic growth and trigger hunger and starvation in the country. To discuss this, we have joining us from Abuja, our Abuja studio, that is the president of the All Farmers Progressives Association. Douglas Ogbo, thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. So what are your thoughts on this latest intervention by the federal government to ensure food availability in the country?
Oh, thank you, and good morning, viewers. Like you rightly said, I think what the federal government is doing now is the best way to do it in the right direction. Because if nothing of this intervention is put in place, believing you me, the crisis cannot be managed at the time it is going to erupt. The worst thing that can happen to any country is food riot. Once there is food riot, it can degenerate into so many other things. It can even go down to as far as religious crisis and so on and so forth. Because people will be fighting for surviving. And anything they lay their hands on, or even they can set their eyes on, they will surely go for it. Whether you are pricing it well or you are not pricing it, they don't care. All they want is that they can put something in their tummy and live for the next day. So the intervention that federal government is propelling now, I think, is the best way to go. And I also advise that as the federal government is doing this, they should also go down to checkmate, because what we are having in this country is that the people that manage the source are the problems. When those grains come down to the country, the saboteurs will be there, even to allow it to get down to the root where the consumers will have access to it will become another problem. So I will also advise the federal government to involve the real farmers in getting this product reached to the common man, because they are the closest people to the populace. And I believe, by the special grace of God, the intervention is going to help in a long way.
Okay, so you are a farmer yourself. Are you concerned about the lack of capacity to produce food for us to eat? Remember that during the Buhari administration, at a point, the borders were closed so that we can produce our own food that we can eat. But that policy didn't really gain the positivity that we needed. Are you concerned about the local capacity to improve production of food for us to eat?
Yes, I'm very much concerned for it. That is why we put it on campaign for every farmers to rise and get involved in the production of food for Nigerians. But the problem we are having is this. The same person who closed the border to make sure Nigerians farmers can produce well is the same person who invite the militia to come on visa on arrival. And when they come, we have issues of banditry, issues of insecurity, kidnapping, and everywhere. So nobody can access their farm now. That is the problem. If not, Nigeria had the capacity to feed themselves and feed the whole world. Nigeria have that capacity. There's no doubt about it. And also, in All Farmers Progressive Association, we were the first organization that launched mechanized farming in the country. And we also advised the federal government to come to our aid so that we can get equipments to support ourselves in this farming process. Today, if I will tell you, Nigeria is getting developed in the way of academic than ever. All our boys that are going to school, they came out of school and nobody's ready to go back to farm. They all want to come to urban cities and live. And those who are even ready to go to farm, insecurity becomes a problem. They can no longer access their land. if that can be, even like I've told you, in mechanized farming, only 3 or 4 persons can do better. They can feed the whole country if we go to proper mechanized farming. But the federal government are not trying to support us because we have cried enough. But what they do, it is only those people who can access their corridors that they are paying attention to. And those group of people are not really farmers. These are political farmers. When they grab what they grab, they don't even come down to the root to even assess the farmers. Rather, they stop on their end and consume whatever they have got from the government. And then the problem continue to eradicate. So Nigeria can feed themselves. We farmers, we are ready. As I'm talking to you now, I have over 10 million people in my organization with their land coordinate. I can direct you to go and verify it in our website, in our portal. You see us there. But we don't have the money. We don't have the resources to combat this issue. It is not easy to farm with bare hands again, with hoe and cutlass. No, it's not possible. So we need mechanized programs. And if this mechanized program come, let government give it to individual organization farmers, so that we can manage them properly. If you leave it with government, it will not go to a year. They will vandalize the whole thing. Make it a PPP, public-private partnership. With organizations like ours, we have the technical men that are on pipeline to drive the whole thing. So give them to us. Like we are approaching the Niger State government now, because we saw that he has acquired a lot of tractors. And I even carried the same mission to my state in Benue to see how we can drive the agriculture in a mechanized formula. But as I'm talking to you, people are busy pursuing shadows instead of come to reality. Until we are able to get equipment, Nigerian farmers are ready. As I'm talking to you, give this to me and give me 1 year. A bag of rice in Nigeria will go down to 7,000 naira.
Okay, so have you been able to engage with government, seeing that you've reeled out what your organizations can do in ensuring that we feed Nigeria and also exports to other countries? Have you been able to have one-on-one engagements with the government and reel out your plans?
Yes, I have done. With the former Minister of Agriculture, Ibrahim Nono, I've done with him. The one that even passed before Nono, the same thing. We have written proposals. Even as I'm talking to you now, my proposal is sitting at the desk of the SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The same thing to Minister of Agriculture. I even give them the template with a working document that simplified everything. If government can engage me as the president of All Farmers Progressive with my team, I guarantee the federal government, within 1 year, we will not have issue of food problem in the country. And again, if they can help us address the issue of insecurity so that farmers can access their land, believe you me, we will not cry for food in this country because we have enough. How do you imagine, I read in one of the social media, where Ukraine sent 225,000 metric tons of grain to Nigeria to help Nigeria. It's an insult to this country because Nigeria have enough to feed the nation, to feed themselves and feed the other nations. We have the manpower, we have the resources, but paying lip service to agricultural services can never help us. Why is the dollar rising today? It's because we're not contributing. The only source of dollar in Nigeria is crude oil. Nigeria was known to be the giant of Africa through agriculture. Why don't we go back to the drawing board? Why don't we find a way back to agriculture and get the thing right? Some of us are ready with knowledge. We are very much equipped to make sure that we drive this thing to success in this country. And there will be no issue of food or no issue of dollar rising every time.
All right, 2 takeaways from what you've said earlier on, Mr. Ogbo. 2 takeaways. First of all, I don't know, but maybe you should clarify. You said something about you having 10 million workers. With you, did you mean 10 million or 10,000? Kindly clarify what you meant by that figure.
I said registered members with their land coordinates.
Farmers, 10 million farmers under the association you had.
Yes, yes. In 774 local government in the country.
Okay. Okay. And then
in 774 local government in the country, yeah.
All right. Thanks for the clarification. And then you also speak about, your proposal, so to speak, in terms of calling for mechanized farming. And you've also spoken about, the insecurity dimensions ravaging many farmlands. You hail from Benue State, the food basket of the nation. But, also clarify that position. Are you saying that mechanized farming, if when fully implemented, will beat this concerns that farmers are having in going to their farms to work?
Yes, like I've told you, the number one thing to address is insecurity. Because one of our tractors was burned down some time ago by those criminals in the bush. Whether you are using tractors, whether you are using hoe and cutlass, whatever means you are using to farm, you need security. If the atmosphere is not clear, your fear alone to even drive the tractors in plowing and harrowing will not be there. I assure the federal government. Now, the federal government have taken a very good stand now, which we are all happy and appreciating. These forest rangers or hunters to combat those criminals in the bush, I think will help a lot. And let the federal government make it clear that once it is 6 o'clock, no human being is supposed to be seen in the bush. Even if you are a farmer, return back to your house. If you are doing anything, return back to wherever you are. And then this issue of cattle running up and down. If I tell you how many hectares of land we have lost to herders this year, you can't imagine. Somebody suffered with his own money, with everything. At the end of the day, herders will move their cattle from nowhere and graze the whole thing and eat up the whole crops. How do we survive in this manner? And those who have borrowed money, they can no longer pay. Last year, we give out input to our member, what about 100 million? We borrowed this thing from the input provider to give to our farmer on an arrangement that by the time they finish harvesting their crops, they can pay. Because we're not getting these resources from the government. At the end of the day, you discover that by the time they farm, you go to them to say, where is this thing? Come up with this thing. Even with the insurance and everything, nothing is coming up. Because cattle will move in and clear all of them. These are part of the insecurity we are trying to arrange. Let Nigeria adopt a ranching process like other countries are doing, because if I am eating beans, if I am eating rice, I need meat. So I need meat to come from cattle, to come from pig, to come from goat or anything. But these things should be ranched so that they don't go about destroying crops. We need all of them to survive. We need them as a nutritional part to survive. So let government work on the issue of insecurity and then come up to identify with we farmers, the original farmers, and forget about these political farmers that go around and say, we are farmer. They are doing this, making programs, colorful every time, and at the end of the day, we don't even see the result. Right. In the administration of Muhammad Buhari, look at how much they spend, yet there is nothing to commensurate with it. They have spent millions on farmers. Where are those farmers today? Some of them are running hectares because they cannot pay back in this Anchor Bora program. You understand? It's a simple thing for government to identify with the real people, those who are committed to do it. If government can identify them, there will be no problem. Hold us responsible. If you give us the equipment, if you give us the fund to assess the farmers, and we cannot deliver, hold us responsible. That is the only way to go. If not, quickly, I am saying this. Yeah.
Kindly conclude on that thought, right? But even before you conclude, let me also push this one, just to balance up, our conversation. I wonder what your thoughts are on the impact of the removal of fuel subsidies on food prices and food production.
Yes, the fuel subsidy, they say they have removed. Do I say it is better we go back for it? Because Nigeria were living fine when the fuel subsidy was on. What is the essence of generating more tension, more trouble, more suffering to the people when you say you are removing a subsidy and people can no longer do their normal business? The reason for food inflation today in the society, number one problem is the inflation. In the inflation cycle, is the removal of the fuel subsidy. Now, everybody bounce back on transportation. For you to carry yam from Benue to Abuja here, what you usually pay before is double now. Now, every traders who come up with their goods have to charge in order to recover from the cost of transportation, from the cost of other things that are emanating. So by the time it gets to consumer, it becomes high. So that is the cause of the inflation in the country today. And they have promised that Port Harcourt refinery is working. Since last year, we have not seen anything from there. The Kaduna will soon pick up by the middle of this year. And even worry, if those 3 refineries can work, Nigeria is the owner of the crude oil. We are the one to refine it in our homes. What differs if they are selling to outside crude oil in the price? Why do we checkmate the prices with the domestic one? Nigeria should help themselves. Set up the refineries and let the refinery begin to work. And if the refinery begin to work, the fuel price will come to normal. And then people will have access to access their farm. Even most of the tractors they are using, you can imagine the cost of diesel today. Renting a tractor becomes a problem because the cost of diesel has gone up. Except we address these issues. If Nigeria peradventure bursts into food riot, I am telling you, it cannot be controlled. It may result into civil unrest. Because the number one thing is your tummy. When a man eats well, he smiles. Even if you slap him, he don't care. But ordinary insult, when a man is hungry, he retaliates. And he makes sure he first you to the call. So let us address this issue. One funny thing about Nigerian big men there, they live in the city. In the other advanced country, the big men live outside the skirts of the town. All those high-rises you are seeing, they are occupied by talakawas or the low-income earners. But eventually, any crisis bursts out now, they block everywhere. Where will they go out from? They should remember that they carry flesh and blood. And once a man is hungry, he prefers to die by bullet than to die by hunger. Because death of bullet is just a strike. Bah, you are gone. Right. But hunger can hold you for 2 weeks. Your eye go inside. Enough is enough. We should address this issue. Hold long.
All right. We thank you very much, Mr. Douglas Ogbo, the president of the All Farmers Progressives Association. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast this morning.
Thank you very much.